Logan stars Hugh Jackman, Dafne Keen, Patrick Stewart, and is directed by James Mangold, the same guy that brought us the Wolverine, the previous solo Wolverine Logan movie. And this is the final one to feature Hugh Jackman as title character Logan, the Wolverine, the badass Canadian berserker. It's the last time we're going to get to see him. And just think about that for a second. In the year 2000, we got X-Men. That's 17 years of him playing the same role fantastically, definitively longer than anyone else has ever done a role like that. The only thing that comes close is like Kevin Conroy as Batman. There's never been another iconic actor that played a character and has been like the only version of that. There's other people that played Wolverine in cartoons and stuff, but the definitive Wolverine, we only have one. It's only Hugh Jackman, and now he's gone. That's depressing a little bit. And this film is set in the near future of sorts, 2029, I believe. It's semi-post-apocalyptic in the terms of all the mutants are gone. Logan is a broken down shadow of his former self, as is Professor X. They're the last real mutants hanging around, and they're just sad, depressed, worn out, all out of hope, essentially, for life. And this one is a little bit of a reference to Old Man Logan, because in this Wolverine, he's aged a little bit. His healing powers aren't working as well. He's very brittle and more broken down than before. He's not on top of his game. He's weathered. He's a different type of Logan and a different outlook on life a little bit because of it. And then this young girl played by Dafne Keen comes in, who's very important. Logan has to be your protector. Important, Professor X and Logan got to take her cross country on a little bit of a road trip, gritty, western, dramatic film. It's a comic book movie in the sense we got Wolverine, but aside from that, it's the furthest thing from a comic book movie. This is more akin to what Chris Nolan did with Batman, but even further. It's taking the comic book idea and stripping away all the needless fluff nonsense about it. No big CGI battle scenes with tornadoes and vortexes in the sky. Strip it to the bare elements of a good story and characters we're going to follow and understand, and that's what you get with Logan. It's the furthest thing from a comic book movie, and it's also one of the best we've got out there, one of the all-time greatest ones we've gotten because of said reasons. I love Wolverine as a character. I think he's fantastic, and I love Hugh Jackman. His portrayal as him for these 17 years has been spot on, perfect, every single time. Even in the shitty, overblown, comic booky, over-the-top nonsense movies like X-Men Origins Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's still been a solid part of those movies too, and he's just always the epitome of what the character should be. He's always shined so brightly. He's always been the spotlight of those movies. Very few times it wasn't about Wolverine, because he was the best we had, and he was so good. And this is his swan song, his final one, and they went full out for this one. As you all know, I'm sure, this is the R-rated gritty one where Wolverine, he's gonna pop those claws out and do what makes sense when you have knives coming out of you in between your knuckles. He's gonna eviscerate, slash, gouge, rip to shit people, and there's gonna be blood spewing. There's a lot of curse words. It's a very adult, violent movie. Gritty and gruesome, how it should have been, honestly. The movie makes me, in retrospect, like every other X-Men movie a little bit less, because it's like, this is what they should have been. They should have all had Wolverine be that violent R-rated guy from the beginning. I get it, it's very sanitized, comic book movies, they have to appeal to everyone, but Wolverine, it's just, you go and watch them all, and now you're like, it feels even worse, because yeah, he's stabbing people, there's no blood. Then you go to this, where it's spot on perfect. That's what it should have been. Not that it needs to have blood, but it fits with the character, the tone, the adult setting. This is a character where that is how it should be, and it is glorious to see. It's what we've always wanted to see. Hugh Jackman in that full berserker rage mode Wolverine. He's just upset, angry, furious. He lets out that rage-filled scream, pops the claws, and goes to town on people. It is glorious. It's everything I've wanted and more. It was wonderful to see. And Hugh Jackman, yeah, the guy for 17 years has been giving us performances as Wolverine. They've all been great. This one is the top of the peak, top-notch performance. It's wonderful. It's a new type of Wolverine. This Logan is weathered. He's beaten down. He can't heal as fast. He's got scars. He's kind of like, yeah, Old Man Logan. It's a different approach where he can't fully, as much as we get the berserker rage, he's not like in the year 2003 slashing people like a young man that's like 200 years old still. He's not that pristine prime Logan anymore, which makes it all the more interesting too, as you get to see the weathered, beaten down type of Logan still kick ass. It's wonderful, and his performance so good. This is a character we've seen for 17 years. We have a lot of emotion in him, a lot of stakes, investment. We have grown to really love this character. I have, for sure. and I just loved every second of it. I was totally on his side. He's dramatically impacted, very interesting in this one. He's playing in a whole new way because he's a very different character than last we saw him, and I was invested the whole time, and it's just, this is it. I was appreciating every moment we got with him because it's the last time, as is Patrick Stewart. Again, 17 years he's been playing Professor X, although there's been spots where it's not him and it's James McAvoy here and there, but he's still been playing Professor X for 17 years. A lot of emotions built up in him too, and I enjoyed every second of him. He was wonderful in this. Still that great, wonderful presence of warmth and guidance and kindness. He was wonderful. And then Dafne Keenan is the young girl that's very important to this whole story. She was wonderful. She was a treat. One of the biggest surprises of the movie. We knew we were going to love Professor X and Logan, but she was a huge surprise, just a lot of fun and a great addition to the movie. Her and Wolverine, those are some of the best Wolverine stories in TV, the movies, cartoons, comics, everything is when it's Wolverine with a young girl. That's just some of the best juxtaposition of characters and how they are and how they mesh together. And it's just wonderful. And here they play off each other really great. It was a great relationship to see. They were absolutely wonderful together. Boyd Holbrook as the villain was pretty good. He was fine. It was good enough. It was what we needed because the movie, it's very character driven. It's about Logan, Professor X, Dafne Keenan, all those characters. It's about them as people and their circumstances, what they're going through. It's very dramatic, very emotional at times. And yeah, when we do get the bursts of action, it's wonderful. It's a gritty drama, a character study with some awesome, ridiculously gruesome action in it. And this is the last time we're gonna see Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I will say the movie stumbled in one aspect. I wanted some slight more emotional payoff to everything. When it all comes to a climax and we're winding down and we have to say goodbye once and for all, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't cry. I really wanted to. I was like, 17 years of emotional buildup. I need a really good payoff, and I felt like they were a little bit shy of what I needed. My brother, I watched it with my brother, he cried, so it works for others, but me personally, I was like, I needed a little bit more. Maybe on repeat viewings, I don't know. I might have also been slightly distracted. Someone had brought their kid to the movie, so there was like a 30-second burst where I was turning into Logan and gonna sprout some claws because I heard it was brief too, which is good. Overall, it was actually a very good experience besides this brief moment where the kid was like, "Dad, I'm tired, I want to go home." And the kid was whining, and it was super loud, and the dad was like, "Quiet," and the kid was like, "I'm tired, I want to go home." I was just like, don't do this to me. This movie is important. And I was getting that rage. I was going to be like, ah, and pop out my claws, run over, and just, ah. That's what I wanted. But it was brief, and then I got back into the movie. Maybe that had slightly set a tone where I was ever so slightly pulled out of the movie and couldn't be emotionally invested. Maybe. I just wanted a little bit more. But I don't feel like they go light on emotions. I feel like it's a very emotional movie, a very dramatic movie, a movie that's all about the characters and getting into their mindset. The movie really takes its time, crafts a dramatic story with great characters in it, and it's all about the characters. And it has, yeah, some moments where it feels a little bit comic booky, where it's like, okay, yeah, this is based on X-Men comics. Let's have a couple flourishes of more comic booky elements. And I was fine with it. It never took me out. Like James Mangold also made the Wolverine, and that one, the third act, gets very comic booky in a way that doesn't quite work. This one, it's still kept in tone with the movie. A very dramatic movie, not as comic booky. It wasn't silly or B-rate. The movie overall kept its tone proper, and it didn't lose itself in the third act. Logan is one of the best comic book movies out there, one of the best superhero movies in general. Why? Because it doesn't feel like one. Similar to Dark Knight, that's a crime drama with a dude dressed as a bat. This one, it's an intense, dark, dramatic character study, gritty post-apocalyptic type road trip movie that just happens to be with a guy with bone claws covered in adamantium metal. You know, it's not a comic book movie. It doesn't need to do all that nonsense. Less is more. Just play it for what it is, a story about characters. Let's tell a story about characters, and that's why it's one of the best, because it's actually a good movie first and a comic book superhero movie second, and that's why it's wonderful. I loved it. Did it have a few shortcomings of maybe the story might have dragged a little bit too much? Maybe there's times where they took maybe a little bit too long, and yeah, there was comic book flourishes. I didn't mind it. Was the emotional payoff not exactly everything I wanted? It fell a little short, but overall, this is one of the best movies we got this year. One of the best, for sure, all-time comic book superhero movies. It's wonderful. It's an incredible film. I would give Logan an A+. Hugh Jackman, sir, you finally got the movie your character deserved. His fantastic performance, that character, last one out, we get what we always wanted. Him just popping those claws out and slicing shit up, and it was wonderful. And I look forward to the future. You know, Dafne Keenan, her character, I don't want to spoil it in case you didn't know. I only sort of half knew going in, like, I think this is what's up with her. The future of her character and all this and that. I'm very excited. I want more R-rated, like Fox. I feel like they can do the R-rated comic book movies. DC is kinda, they feel like they want to, even if they hold back to PG-13, they feel almost R-rated, they're so just depressing. And then Marvel, MCU proper, never gonna do that, but their superhero Netflix shows can. I think Fox might as well just go for it. Just make more R-rated X-Men and Deadpool movies, why not? Because that's what's working for them. Their last X-Men movie, no, but Deadpool and Logan, that's what we need. We need the gritty R-rated comic book movies. Fox might as well be the ones to do it. That's what's working. And I want to take a moment to salute Hugh Jackman. Thank you, sir, for your 17 years of service. You and Patrick Stewart, both wonderful portrayals of the characters. It's the all-time definitive performances that'll never be outdone, in my opinion. You'll never get a better Logan. I'll never get a better Professor X. They're ultimate. They're perfect. Thank you for your services as actors, creating great characters, telling great stories with them. It was wonderful. This was a great send-off. Love the movie to death. One of my favorites of the year so far. Whatever minor shortcomings it had, I can overlook them very easily because the movie overall is fantastic and wonderful. Comment below, tell me your thoughts on Logan, and also tell me if you could be one superhero in like real life, like you could actually become that superhero, which one would you want? I know you assume I'm gonna say Batman. I want to be Batman in movies and stuff, but in real life, if I could pick one, I actually would want to be Logan. I would want to be Wolverine because think about that. You can heal from anything. You're practically invincible. I mean, eventually you might get to this old man Logan stage and that might suck, but you live about 290 years before that happens or whatever, so you get to live a couple lifetimes. You're indestructible. You got these badass bone claws. Yeah, that might hurt coming out, but tell me if you disagree, but I personally think if there's one thing I would want to do in life, it is to be surrounded by a bunch of bad guys and then just pop out some bone claws, let out a scream, a growl of rage and anger, and slice them to shit. I want to do that so bad. That would seem so much fun. I know that sounds very gruesome, but I just want my adamantium claws to come out and just gut some people. So comment below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.